Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's now time for the Unfiltered News by G. Edward Griffin from the Reality Zone, where political correctness is not spoken here. Okay, let me move this back. Oops, not that far back. Oh, come on. Don't jerk like this. Okay. This is for April 5th through the 11th. Click on headlines to see full articles. If original sources are missing, click on Koch. Okay. Remember these symbols? They all have a relationship to this. Here is the comic strip for this week. Big government. You see, capitalism doesn't work. Look, of course it doesn't work. You're big government. Of course it's not going to work. Wake up, Obama, and smell the fascism that you're under. You are a fascist. Commie, if that, or collectivist. Anyways, Nevada. The showdown approaches at Clive Bundy's ranch, where hundreds of armed BLM agents are now facing thousands of freedom supporters. These include military and law enforcement representatives from Oath Keepers, members of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, and even lawmakers from other states. They seek to resolve the dispute peacefully while standing up against the federal overreach. What happens now could change the course of American history. The Common Sense Show, April 11th. And it can. We can beat these people in their own Agenda 21 game put on by the UN. Don't you know? Ukraine's Prime Minister Arseniy Yatsenyuk extended an olive branch by promising more power to leaders in the eastern part of the country where separatist sentiments are strong. Pro-Russian separatists have captured a government building and are calling for a referendum similar to the one in Crimea that led to the breakaway from the Ukraine. DW, April 11th. They're just playing games with them. I mean, they sent a news reporters from NBC went up there and checked out to see if there's Russian troops on the border ready to invade. They found nothing. Everything was normal. Life was as normal. MSM at it again. You know, the mouthpiece of the government. 1984. Don't you know? In Nevada, more than 200 armed federal BLM, Bureau of Land Management agents, including snipers aiming their rifles at protesters, are trying to confiscate the Clive Bundy's cattle in what appears to be government cattle wrestling. The feds say they are protecting the Mojave Desert tortoise. However, the area where Bundy grazes his cattle has been proposed as a site for solar panel stations. That means the feds likely are trying to avoid Bundy's legitimate use of the land so they can lease it to power generating companies like China. Don't you know? InfoWars, April 11th. Yeah, China is involved in this. And they sold the land off for pennies to the acre to Chinese. Instead of it being $800 million, it was only $4 million. You know, nothing special here. Next, Bitcoin's price plunge below $400 after reaching all-time highs more than 1,100 several months ago. The latest downfall followed an order from the Chinese government to close bank accounts for Bitcoin exchanges, effectively knocking them out of business in China. Imagine that. April 10th. 2014. U.S. An inappropriately named Safe and Accurate Food Labeling Act was introduced in Congress to prevent states from passing laws requiring genetically engineered foods to be labeled as such. The bill would allow labeling of GE foods, genetically engineered foods, only if they were found to be unsafe or materially different from natural foods. The catch is that the FDA is unduly influenced by the biotech industry. Yes, they run everything and is unlikely to conclude that genetically engineered foods are unsafe or materially different regardless of the evidence. USA Today, April 10th. They're just out there. The corporates are running our government. That's called fascism. Mm. Okay, video. The House may vote to hold IRS official Lois Lerner in contempt because she refused to provide information about the IRS policy of subjecting conservative groups to extra scrutiny that some say is harassment. Judge Neapolitano explains that even if the contempt charges passes in the House, it is unlikely that the Department of Justice will prosecute her. Fox News, April 10th. I saw that when he was on there, and he actually said that, and it's true. We can't fight against a overbearing government like we have. It's just impossible because it's fascism. Don't you know? And it's under IRS. IRS needs to be abolished. We all know that. Everything needs to be abolished. Banksters need to be kicked out of the country, like in Iceland. Things that have to be done. Anyways, NATO says their satellites show that the Russian forces, including tanks, armored vehicles, aircraft, artillery, and 40,000 troops, were amassed near the Ukrainian border between March 22nd and April 2nd. Russia says the photos are old and date back to in August of last year, prior to the riots and current conflict. There is no explanation of why all that military presence is or was and needed unless military action is anticipated. HuffPost, April 10th. As I said, NBC sent a group up there to look at the border, and they saw nothing. There's nothing going on. It's a lie. It's another lie to get us into World War III. You know, wars are great when the banksters are in trouble. Wars are great. All wars are bankster wars. Mm-hmm. Star, something to keep. Great Britain spent 5% of its entire health budget on the drug Tamiflu during 2009 swine panic, as pigs fly panic, at the cost of $711 million. A new study shows that Tamiflu is ineffective against the flu, can worsen symptoms, and has serious side effects, including psychiatric events. In Japan, 8 children jumped out of windows committing suicide after taking the drug. Telegraph, April 10th. Don't you know? It's just madness. It's absolute madness. Turn my mic away a little bit so I don't on you. Okay. Texas. Congressman tells Attorney General Eric Holder he belongs in jail. Yes, he does. He belonged in jail as soon as Fast and Furious came out. Representative Blake Farnhold said Holder has been held above the law, and ordinary citizens would be thrown in jail for refusing to comply with the subpoena. Farnhold was referring to Holder's refusal to turn over documents from the federal Fast and Furious gun running scandal. Daily Mail, April 9th. And he's guilty as hell. Video. Heartbleed is a flaw in the mainstream internet security program that affects the encryption of data. As many as two-thirds of websites have been vulnerable to this for the past 2 years. Hackers can trick a server into sharing encrypted data and also the keys that unlock the encryption. It can reveal content of a server's memory where most of sensitive data is stored, including emails, passwords, and credit card numbers. CNET, April 9th. Don't you know? This is what's happening. This is what they're doing. If you don't make your own encryption up that they can't break because it's not out there for the NSA to review, you can talk in private and do transactions in private. Just the facts. Only the facts. U.S. A freshly retired lawyer for the SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, described the SEC as a toll booth on the Bankster Turnpike. He says SEC regulators are only concerned with getting high-paying jobs with their firms they oversee upon retirement. Prosecuting corruption in the industry would interfere with that. Zero Hedge, April 8th. Next, Google Glass has debated its live stream app, which gives users the ability to stream into the internet whatever they see in real time. Due to the privacy concerns, 72% of Americans say that they will not purchase Google Glass. Eventually, those concerns will be forgotten as the public becomes accustomed to the technology, in much the same way as privacy concerns over Google Street View gradually morphed into acceptance. Daily Dot, April 8th. And, these two are kind of related together. I mean, it's more spying on you and not letting you have your way. Okay. Investigative journalist Seymour Hersh, famous for uncovering the Iraq prison torture scandal and the Mayalaya massacre in Vietnam, reports that Turkey, I probably screwed that up, carried out a sarin gas attack in Syria. The plan was to blame it on the Syrian government and thereby justify a war against Syria to topple the government. Washington Blog, April 8th. And sure, I mean, they lie about everything, don't you know? Video. The Kissinger papers released by WikiLeaks revealed the full impact of his influence in U.S. foreign policy over many years. The documents show that he fomented wars and ordered in creation of death squads in South America that killed thousands, of managed an invasion of Cyprus using American troops, and advised Dick Cheney on the Iraq invasion. Kissinger hosts the annual secret Bilderberg meetings attended by world leaders and a prominent figure in the Council on Foreign Relations, considered by many to be unseen government of the United States. Next News Network, April 7th. U.S. Bronx criminal court judge John Wilson barred Assistant District Attorney Megan Teasdale from his court for withholding evidence that would free a man who had already spent 8 months in Rikers Island prison. It is common for the DA, a district of assholes, did I say that? Office to hide evidence that would weaken their cases. Daily News, April 6th. See, criminal activity always going on. Video. Dramatic NASA video of a solar flare that occurred last week. Solar flares and CME's coronal mass ejections are explained, including the possibility of a power grid blowout from larger solar storms. For more on that topic, see Racing with the Sun. This article was from RT, April 6th. Okay, Russia has increased the price of natural gas to Ukraine by 55% now that it has a new anti-Russia government. Ukraine says it will not pay. It is unknown how much longer Russia will be willing to provide free gas, as Ukraine already isn't appealing for billions of unpaid energy bills. Anti-war, April 6th. Next. The U.S. Department has failed to account for $6 billion in contracts over the past 6 years. The mismanagement began before Hillary Clinton's tenure, but continued during the time she was in office in Iraq. 33 out of 115,000 major contracts are missing, worth $2.1 billion. We suspect that the files are missing because they were purposely destroyed or eliminated evidence. Fox News, April 5th. See how the criminal activity continues? Star, another article to keep. The murder rate for Chicago, called the murder capital in 2013, has plummeted. This changed because began after passage of law allowing the carrying of concealed weapons. Criminals do not like the risk of being shot by their intended victims. Don't you know? Red State posted April 5th. This is to be looked at. Guns are good. Anti-guns are bad. Okay. Canada has a population of over 35 million people, but a mere 86 people control over one-third of the country's wealth. The wealthy 86 increased their assets by more than 50% in 2012. The article shows that a very wealthy avoid many taxes than the ordinary working investor must pay. It is a case study of how great wealth today is acquired, not by production and innovation, but by political favoritism. Business Vancouver posted April 5th. Sweden, Expression, one of the country's largest newspaper, hacked into the Disquest, a blog comment service, to obtain names and addresses of those who post their online comments contrary to the immigration views of the newspaper. Sweden has devolved into an extremely conformist society in which most people are afraid to express political incorrect views, lest they be over or ostracized. It is a trait of all collectivist systems, and Sweden is one of the oldest. Pamela Geller posted April 5th. Don't you know? George Washington, in a video. University is offering a master's degree in lobbying. That's right. You can become a lobbyist and make millions of dollars a year buying off politicians. Some say that lobbying is legalized bribery. However, when patriots conducted letter-written campaigns to urge legislators to obey the Constitution or visit their congressmen to urge the defeat of Obamacare, that is lobbying. The problem is that people confuse lobbying with campaign contributions and other forms of financial incentives for legislators to vote a certain way. We support the right of anyone to express their views to legislators, but we are opposed to financial transactions of any kind between constituents and legislators, including campaign contributions. It's the money that corrupts. They will not teach that at the university. Russia Today, April 5th. And they won't. Brendan Ehrlich, inventor of JavaScript and co-founder of Mozilla Firefox, was pressured to resign from his new position as CEO of Mozilla due to an internet boycott campaign organized by pro-gay marriage groups called OkCupid. The issue was that Eric donated $1,000 6 years ago to Prop 8, a bill to prohibit gay marriage in California. Eric was targeted not by the government but by political advocacies group and raised serious questions about the social power and political correctness in a free society. See the article earlier this week about the consequences of opposing lax immigration rules in Sweden. Yeah, all the rapes going on from Muslims raping the blue-eyed, blonde-haired women up there, don't you know? AP posted April 5th. An amazing illusion in Paris. Click to find out what this is. Analysis for this week. Reports and commentaries that look beyond the news to identify historical facts and trends that help to place news into perspective. A video by G. Edward Griffin explains why banksters or bankers do not want money to be backed by gold or silver. This is part of an introduction to a series produced by Full Disclosure on the Federal Reserve. Full Disclosure Network, April 8th. Video. NSA Director James Clapper has admitted that the NSA opens the content of emails and text messages and listens to phone calls without a warrant. Judge Neapolitano explains why Clapper should be thrown in prison for 10 years at least for lying to Congress. But Attorney General Holder has refused to prosecute. Don't you know he's a criminal too? Fox News, April 2nd. And here are the great photos for this week. Check that out. Busiest train ever. And this is in India. I'm sure of it. You got the humor for this week. You got this picture here. Oops, went past it. Okay, last month, 34 times more Americans registered for a gun license than Obamacare. Take that as a note. This is the news for this week. You have heard it here. News, headlines you may have missed. And check this out. This is Saturday now. And I had to wait until they posted this before I could post it to you on YouTube. So here you go. This is it. Check out the books, everything he has to offer. This man is a genius and wrote the book the creatures from Jekyll Island, and the appendage to that, another Jekyll Island book that updates all the information. Until next time, be good at it, and have a wonderful weekend. Good day, all. And I only ran for 20 minutes. Wow. I went through this fast this week. There wasn't much commentary because all of it's out there. You can find it in alternative news. You can go to Mike Rivero's WhatReallyHappened.com. Check on his articles. He has the same type of setup as G. Edward Griffin does. And you can find out the headlines you may have missed. Good day.